From the day one, I was bullied.
I've heard you speak before that there was actually a time where you quite seriously considered suicide.
The end of year 5, one of the sort of bully girls from the year above held a knife to my throat. And so I just got on with it and left school and I climbed a corporate ladder. I was charging like £10,000 for a couple of hours. People were coming to me saying, I want to pay you this. And I was like, I can't. Being real, telling it like it is, has been my superpower. If people aren't paying your bills, they have no opinion in what you're doing.
On paper, you have every reason to not be successful.
Here's the secret. The secret is
Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Success School podcast. I just want to say thank you so much for being here and taking time to listen to the show today. And I also just want to make sure you are aware that my whole mission with this podcast is to be able to give people access to conversations that are going to enlighten, they're going to inspire, and they're going to give you the information needed to genuinely start to live a happier, a healthier, and a more fulfilling life. But here's the thing, I am just one man. So that's really, really hard to get a lot of people to be positively impacted when I'm doing this alone. So I'm just going to ask a little favor. And I know you're probably sick of hearing this. You probably hear it on every podcast you listen to. But please, if you genuinely do think this podcast is valuable and can help people, if you could just take a second to hit that subscribe button and maybe go one further, tell other people about it, share it on your Insta stories, anything you can do to help bring more awareness to the show would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for being here, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. Lisa, welcome to the show. First things first, how are you? Have you had a busy day in business? Have you had a balanced day? How's things been?
not balanced. The last week, we're going to be honest.
Just so you know, I'm in exactly the same boat. I've ended up with a cold. It's one of those days, those weeks, I think.
The last week has been a bit crazy. It's probably been, out of the 6 years I've been in business, this has probably been the busiest week I've ever had.
So we join you at a brilliant, I bet there's many things you could be doing right now. So I'll talk extra fast then to get through this quickly for you. Lisa, genuinely, thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I saw you live at an event, EMC, last year. You were talking and I thought your story and also the things you spoke about was super, super inspiring. I would love, just for those that aren't maybe familiar with you, Lisa, if you could just tell us some of the key things from like your childhood that have really informed the person you are today and the route that you've gone down.
Sure. So like many people, I grew up in a council estate in Lincolnshire in the UK. So it was a very poverty-based childhood. But as a child, I don't think you really know that you're poor as such. You just, you have friends in big houses, you have friends in small houses, and it doesn't really matter. And I had a really happy childhood, single parent family. It was my father that brought us up. And then when I was 11, I got a scholarship to a private school, which I thought was amazing. I'm going to get a great education. And from the day one, I was bullied really badly for being poor. They were all rich. They all, got picked up in their Mercedes. I got picked up on the back of my dad's motorbike. And it was a rough time around that period of time. So for about 5 years, I got bullied and, barely went to school, if I'm honest. I stayed off as much as I could. And then in the end of year 5, one of the sort of bully girls from the year above held a knife to my throat in like just outside the school gates as I was going towards the school bus. And about 30 people from my year were surrounding her, telling her to get me, basically. And
so just to be clear, year 5, how old are you at that stage?
15, about.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. So it had a profound effect on me because I don't know, I still can't really remember how I got out of the situation. I wasn't hurt. I got out of the situation, but I didn't really go back to school again. I'd go every now and again to take an exam or to take a test. But it became the norm. I felt like it was normal to be bullied by that point. It became part of my normal life. And because of that, my self-esteem, you can imagine, just goes so low when you get bullied, because people tell you on a daily basis that you're ugly, that you're rubbish, that you'll never make anything of yourself, that you're poor, all of these things. And that sticks in your head whether you like it or not.
At the time, did you have anyone that you confided in, anyone that helped you? Like, did you have any friends that did help you through that, or parent or anything?
So I had one friend. That friend was also a bullied person. And so we came together because of that, I think. And so we were both fairly badly bullied. I could have told my dad, and I think my dad would have helped, but he was a single father working 4 jobs to be able to put food on the table. So like the last thing you want to do is then give more hassle at that age. And so I didn't. I just kind of coped with it. I was skipping school. No one knew that I was skipping school. No one really bothered to tell anybody about this. And so from that promising start at 11 of having, been smart enough to get a scholarship, it completely turned around by the time I was like 15, 16. I left school with a handful of really mediocre GCSEs.
And like mentally and emotionally at that stage, where are you at? Because you've got people you could turn to, but you don't feel you want to be a burden to them. Like your only friend is getting bullied as well, so presumably is struggling themselves. And then it feels like most other people are just mocking you, and you've had this great opportunity that's then left, by your own words, as kind of like mediocre outcome. Like, where were you at that stage?
I didn't really think about those kind of things at that stage, because I think it had become normal in my life. My life was chaotic around that time, home and at school. And I think it just became normal. Like, this is how life is. And so I just got on with it and left school and, got one of those apprenticeships where you're paid £35 a week. And I climbed a corporate ladder from £35 a week to eventually, in my 30s, working in Canary Wharf as a risk analyst in an investment bank. So I'd done, from the outside looking in, pretty well for myself. I was earning a good 65,000 a year. And people from kind of where I come from were like, look what she's done. She's left, she's gone to London, she's doing really well for herself. Most people in my sort of generational circles wouldn't be doing things like that. And so I felt okay about the situation. And then accidentally got pregnant with twins while going through a divorce.
Great timing. Great.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah, that kind of changed everything again. And so I had to start all over again.
If you're happy to talk about it, I know, because I've heard you speak before, that there was actually a time where you quite seriously considered suicide as well.
Yeah.
Could you just tell us about what led to that and what that process was like?
Once I left school, I went and joined the first place I went to. I joined an office from the ages of like 16 to 18. And in that office, it was like joined onto a factory. So there were all of the factory workers, and then there were about a dozen teenage to early 20s girls in the office. And I probably came across at that time a very aloof person. I wouldn't look people in the face, especially women. I was terrified of women. If I was walking down the street and girls were coming towards me, I would cross the street. And so when I look back, I probably went in, and they, because of, the accent I'd picked up from school and things like that, they probably thought I was looking down on them. And I totally wasn't. I was just terrified and keeping myself to myself. But I started to get bullied there.
So presumably, just so that I'm clear, it's the previous bullying that you'd experienced that made you just kind of shut off and not want to make new friendships.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I was too scared of everyone by that point.
By default, that is then what created more bullying, right?
Yeah, but also I think I was attracting being bullied. I think it became my natural state as a victim at this point to just attract that in. And so, I started to get bullied there. And this time it was far worse, because when you're in a workplace, it's far worse. And my boss, who was a man, told me to come into the office one day and said, I'm afraid we're going to have to let you go. And I was like, I know my work is good. Like, And he said, yeah, but I'm worried for your safety and I can't sack an entire workforce. I can only sack you. Now I know a lot about the law. I got a law degree after that, distance learning while working full time. So I wish I could have done something about that then. But at that point, I had no idea. I was so young. And so I left work that day and was on my own in this tiny little bedsit, trying to make ends meet, had been bullied the whole time, had been bullied again, and now been sacked from my job. And I just thought, if this is what it's like, and it probably is, because circumstances are showing me that this is what happens in life, I don't really want to be here. And so I got a load of pills, I got a bottle of wine, and I sat on the floor, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. And I felt calm because of that. But then I had this tiny little voice, because there's always a part of me that thinks, what if there's another way? And I've always been that kind of person that will try and find the positive in everything. But I was just at a place where I couldn't. And I heard this voice, and it was just me saying, what if they're wrong? What if you do make something of yourself? What if you're not ugly, useless, will always be poor, was always in debt, generational debt? What if it's different? And so I told myself, well, the only way that you can test this is by giving yourself something hard to do, because I didn't even know anymore if I was smart, because I knew I was at 11, but it'd been sort of beaten down, and I thought maybe I am stupid. So I didn't get very good GCSEs. And so I kind of said to myself, I'm going to give myself a test. I'll do one thing. If I can do one thing well, I will allow myself to live. If it doesn't work out, then I won't. And at least I've given myself one last chance, one test. And then I started to think, well, what was a hard thing? So I thought I'll get a degree. And it was like, what's the hardest degree? And I looked it up online, and it was either medicine or law. No interest in medicine. So I went the law route, and I got another job as a PA, like an office junior PA kind of thing. And for 4 years, I got delivered books in the September. I worked all year in my bedroom for 3 hours every night studying. And then I took the exams in the May. I did that for 4 years, and I was 1 mark away from a first.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, so they're wrong. And once I knew that, it didn't matter what they'd said, because if they were wrong about that one thing, that I wasn't stupid, that I might be able to make something of myself, then they were wrong about everything.
If you go back to that period now and reflection, what was the main driver in your mindset? Was it that you wanted to fight to be alive? What made you study so hard? Like, presumably you wanted to live.
I think I wanted to prove them wrong rather than fight to be alive. I think I've always been somebody that wants to prove. And if you look at my history now, if you look back to where I am now, I'm where I am mainly because people told me I wouldn't be. And so it's like a two fingers, two people that said I wouldn't. And that kept me going for a very long time. That kept me doing all the things I've done.
What about now? Is there still a bit of that in you, or is that something you've worked on? And
there was.
Yeah.
There was that in my first year of business, which weirdly is only 6 years ago. It seems like a much longer time. But 6 years ago, somebody that was quite hierarchically high up in our online space, I started to get bullied again, first year online. And I believe that now when I look back, I think I was putting myself in situations where it is more likely I will be bullied, because my nervous system is just so used to it that's my natural state.
Yeah.
And obviously going online and talking about money and talking about business and being a woman, you're going to get bullied. And I was quite outright with what I think. I'm quite opinionated now. And I got bullied by a coach who I'd paid quite a lot of money to work with. And I guess she'd seen something in me that threatened her. And she really badly bullied me online. And
when you say online, this isn't DMing you privately. This is
no. She set up. Yeah, there were 4 Facebook groups. Oh, her and about 5 of her coaches that she knew that were her clients in these Facebook groups were all talking about me. They weren't naming me actually. They were just saying, this person that teaches this. It was kind of obvious who I was, but this person that's teaching this has got no integrity, and all of this kind of stuff. And I at first hid, like, oh my God, how can this be happening again? Like, how am I going to deal with this again? And then a mentor said to me, I said, I can't be in this industry. It's too hard. Like, it's so dog eat dog. And the integrity levels are so low. And she said to me, you can either quit or you can change it from the inside out. But to change it from the inside out, you're going to need to make millions. Otherwise, no one's going to listen to you. And so I rang a lawyer that day, one of my legal friends, and said, look, this is happening online. What do I do? And he said, out yourself online right now. The only power they've got is that they're not mentioning who you are. So all of the comments underneath, this person sounds awful, name and shame her, this is disgusting. No one knew it was me. And so I did. I went online and said, everybody, they're all talking about me. Just so you know, I'm going legal with it. They're talking about me. None of it's true. But I don't want to say anything more than that. Went legal and won.
Wow. Just like amazing. The courage that takes for somebody who's experienced so much bullying, and we all know how disgusting that is, to then get it as an adult and confront it and put your name to it. I know maybe now perhaps it's quite easy to go, it's just part of my story, and on some level be a little bit more emotionally disconnected. But I imagine at the time, the courage and the pain and the upset would have been huge at times, right?
It was huge, but I'm very aware that it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right. Amazing. And that's it. And these are the things, aren't they? That some of the hardest lessons and moments and experiences are the things that make us. And that, if you see it like that way, and if you stick with it, right, and have the courage.
I realized at that point, she sent me a message at the time that said, I will make sure you never work in this industry again. There was nothing else she could have said that would be better than that sentence.
To drive you forward.
It properly, for years, it drove me forward. And then I did some work on myself a couple of years ago on the inner work, the trauma, healing the trauma from when I was a child. And the bad thing about doing that, it was good in one way because I really did heal. But the bad thing about that was I no longer felt the need to prove myself to anyone or stick two fingers up at somebody who told me I couldn't. And so my driver was gone and I had to find a new one really quickly.
Yeah, but now you find a more healthy driver, right?
Yeah,
and I think and the reason I say that is I think that's on some level, that's what initially is the driving force for anyone that's successful. Usually it's some form of pain or trying to prove others wrong. And that will get you so far, but will it really keep you A, moving forward, but B, doing so in a fulfilling, healthy, happy way?
That's it.
I would say no, right? And that's where you're at now.
It's that healthy, happy way. But saying that, I do think that you can use adversity to really promote your success, to like give you a pathway to success, rather than people often say, these things happen to me, and so it's really hard for me to get there, or in spite of these things happen, I got there. And a lot of the time it's because those things happen that you got there. Like, I remember in my first few years of business, I saw others who were doing the same things as me. And when an obstacle appeared, as they will, we're entrepreneurs, there's going to be millions of them.
Yep.
A person that hasn't been through adversity will often look at those obstacles and go, oh, well, I tried. I gave it a good go. Someone that's been through adversity is very used to finding a way through obstacles any way they can, and they will find a way. And I think that really helped me in business in the long term. So yeah, I'm all right that anything that has happened. And I'm now an anti-bullying ambassador for a charity called Bullies Out. And I wouldn't be doing that work if these things hadn't happened to me, because I wouldn't be able to empathize as much with people. So things happen for a reason.
Beautiful. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing that, because I'm sure there's so much in that people will resonate with as well. And it's so lovely to hear that, the way you overcame that and you're now using your experiences for good. Obviously, I know that then you went on to have a successful business in the wedding industry. And then from that, you've now become a coach yourself to help other business owners. And presumably a lot of what you deal with for a lot of entrepreneurs is their mindset, and is their mindset around finances in particular. I know here at Success School, we did recently a session on money mindset. And the feedback that I had is this is a huge stumbling block for a lot of people. Things like limiting beliefs around finances and stuff like that. I just wondered if you could maybe touch on that subject for our listeners. What are some of the key issues that you see with people's mindset with money and the shifts, and importantly, how do they make those shifts? If for some of them might have had 50 years of having those limiting beliefs, what would you say is the way they can help overcome?
Yeah, I see this a lot. So, I'm not actually a coach, I'm a strategist. And I say that because a coach often helps people find the answers within. I'm very much a go and do this, 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 and this, and you'll get this. That's how I've always been, and it works really well. But the problem with doing that is that sometimes I do have clients that you go do this, 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 and this, and they don't do it, and it's usually because of these limiting beliefs around money. While I'm in no way spiritual or woo-woo, I'm just not. Money mindset has massively helped me because, as you can imagine, for a long time in my head was rich people are bad people. Rich people were the ones that bullied me. It was because I was poor and therefore rich people are bad. And growing up in a council house, if somebody comes past in a Porsche, none of my family or friends were going, wow, look at that amazing person in a Porsche. You can imagine what they were saying.
What a wanker.
Yeah.
Pretty much,
exactly. Yeah. And so in my head, it was like, that's having money is bad. And when I started my first business in the wedding industry, I failed that business actually in the first year. It took me a real effort to turn that business around. I was 35 for a start when I started business. So I didn't know anything about business at all. I was doing it just in the hope that I would pick it up as I went along, this wedding planning business. But even when I'd learned the strategies and I was like, why isn't this making money? It was me. I was holding myself back all the time because I was so scared subconsciously of being that bad person who had money. I also grew up a Mormon. And when you grow up religious, you're told that, you shouldn't be greedy, you don't need a lot of money, all of those kind of things. And so, I'm not religious now, but it was all in there in my subconscious. And I had to find a way to stop all of these limiting beliefs, all of these things that had taken place in my mind. I'd been bankrupt at 25 years old, and a judge had looked down and said to me, you are bad with money. When someone at that age who is above you says that, it goes in whether you believe it or not. So why would I want to make money if I'm bad with it? So I had to do a lot of work.
How on reflection, how did you overcome? Because on paper, like you have every reason to not be successful.
Yeah,
like just all because that's really complex. The amount of different examples you've said there of why you wouldn't believe money is good. Like, can you remember practically what are some of the things? How did you overcome that?
Yeah, well, how I first tried to overcome it is to do what everyone tells you to do, which is to change the neural pathways in your brain by writing down positive affirmations. That did not work for me. I'm sure it works for some people. I just felt like I was conning myself reading these things every single day. What I had to do is find evidence of contrary beliefs. I was a lawyer. This was what was in my head. So for me, one of the things I used to say all the time in the back of my mind was, even though I've got this business, it's not going to work because people from where I come from don't make 6-7 figures. So I put on a Post-it note, 6 figures and 7 figures is easy for people like you to make. I didn't believe a word that I was reading. And so I had to go and find the evidence of people out there who come from a background like mine, who had made that kind of money, because then I couldn't give myself this excuse. I was also very good at doing that thing we do where we go, well, the reason she's making money is because she probably has a rich husband, or she's really thin, or she's pretty, she's got no kids, all of the things. I've got twins. That was a good excuse of mine for a long time. But eventually I realized that if I find the evidence of things, I can't give myself these excuses anymore.
And can I just say as well, everybody listening, please make a note of that. It's massive. I'm such a big advocate for what Lisa's saying. It's not enough just to tell yourself you're amazing and you can do this. Find the evidence if you want to change the beliefs. We've got just like highlight, tattoo that on your head, your bum, whatever. Like the point Lisa is making here. And also to add to that point, you don't just change your mindset by thinking. You have to go out and do something to create new evidence, even just as simple as, Lisa's there doing research, finding examples. But often it might be more than that. You've got to actually go out when you maybe don't fully believe, but still take the action to get a new result that then provides the evidence to create the belief. So, straight away, if there's one thing you're going to take away that's tangible, there's it maybe for some of you. It's a really important point. Shall we talk about passive income? Because I know this is like your baby. Like this has been a big thing that now you speak about as a business strategist. First and foremost, like for anyone that's not completely clear, what is passive income?
Shall I tell you what it's not? It's not sitting on a beach and seeing money rain down on you while you do absolutely nothing.
Oh, bollocks. Next
Sorry.
question, then. I don't want to know. I thought it was going to be.
It's the way I think of it is just anything that's no longer trading time for money. I kind of really wish it was called leveraged income, but no one knows what I'm talking about when I say that because it's not passive. But it's just, if you think about a bedroom in your house, you've already bought the house, you've already got a bedroom in it, you decorate the bedroom. This is you creating an asset. You put a bed in the bedroom, you advertise the asset on Gumtree or wherever, your local newspaper, and then someone lives in it and gives you money every month without you having to do anything. So basically it's building assets so that you can make money over and over and over again without you having to do very much, not nothing, very much.
Do you think this is essential for true wealth? Because I think a lot of people, when they first, maybe in a position you were in, the initial stages they take is, okay, I need to run a business because that's a better way to have more control over my finances and my earning potential. But what I've seen, 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10 is people end up creating a job for themselves they would never sign up for, where they're working 7 days a week, 18-hour days, and they get trapped. Do you think this is the next stage for people?
That was me. So when I started, like after the wedding business, I only had that for 3 years. And people were asking me all sorts of questions. How do you make money? How did you make your business successful? And I was telling them for free and they were making money. So after about 3 years, I was like, all right, there's probably an easier business in this than standing up for 48 hours doing a wedding every weekend. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So I started Lisa Johnson's strategy, 2017. 2017 was a great year for money. I made £220,000 in the first year of my business in profit. I burnt out 3 times and never wanted to work again. I was just doing one-to-one work because, you start a business, you do one-to-one. I was a consultant. I was helping people. They were asking me how to make money. I was telling them that takes time. Every time I spent my time, someone paid me money. It was great. But I was working 80 hours a week. I had a new husband, twins who were like 4 or 5, who I never saw. I was like, I've given up a 9-to-5 job for 6 a.m. till 11 o'clock at night. Everyone said, just put your prices up. I put my prices up 3 times. I was charging like £10,000 for a couple of hours. People were coming to me saying, I want to pay you this. And I was like, I can't. There's no more time in a day. And then I forgot to pick my kids up from school. And that was the wake-up call. I was like, what am I doing? I was so busy. I was so knackered that I'd forgotten to pick them up. So I was listening to someone on a podcast like this, and they were arguing actually over whether passive income existed. And I started listening to it, and then I went down the rabbit hole of passive income. And I decided to put half of the money that I had made in that first year into learning everything about every kind of passive income stream, from cryptocurrency to drop shipping to courses, memberships, affiliate marketing, you name it. Some of them I'd chuck away instantly. This isn't for me. Some of them I would tweak and go, well, this could be done better. And then I started introducing them into my business in year 2, the second half of year 2. Okay, that worked. Now let's make it better. And just making the things I had learned how to do better. So by the end of year 2, I was working 30 hours a month and I was earning over $1 million. And that's when I knew, like, this is how you scale. This is what you do. Why is no one teaching this stuff? And yeah.
What that just made me think of is, when you reflect now, do you think on some level, like, you create a lot of foundations in those first years of business where you are working ridiculous hours and establishing yourself? And therefore, if somebody's listening to this for the first time, would you suggest potentially that there's a level of that that's unavoidable? Like, you can't necessarily just jump into passive income. What's your thoughts on that?
I think if you don't mind putting money into it to grow an audience using Facebook ads, you can do it quickly. But I didn't use Facebook ads until like I'd done well over $1 million. I did it organically. Now, when it comes to passive income, a key ingredient is building an audience. And that's why for the first year, at least, you're going to be doing your one-to-one work. You're not going to be straight away because you've got to build the audience.
Yeah. So on that then, if someone's now hearing it for the first time, what would you say is some of the biggest tips you could give on building a big audience and B, a loyal audience, which I know is something you talk about? Because one thing I hate on these podcasts is where people talk about, start a membership or do a course, and they talk about how this is how you create passive income. And it's like, that's great. You can have a fantastic membership, a fantastic course, but if you've no idea how to market and you've no idea how to get people, and especially if it's low ticket, you need it to go out en masse or it's not going to work. So that's the bit I'm interested in that usually gets left out of podcasts. So what's your advice?
Not just podcasts. It gets left out of pretty much every course on there about how to make passive income or create a course or have an online digital anything. They miss that bit out. And I bought all of those courses in that second year. And the bit that was missing was the audience growth. And so that's why I teach it. So I think it's really, you can do all of this without any money, by the way. Most of my clients start with nothing when they do passive income, but they need to start to build an audience. Now, you can build an audience in many different ways, just being on social media, for instance, starting an email list, having a funnel with a freebie that you put out there. It's actually not important how you build the audience. What's important is that they're a loyal audience. You don't want footfall. That's not what's going to make you money. You can have a small audience that's really engaged if they're a loyal audience, or you can have a massive audience that actually doesn't buy anything you do. And that's a vanity metric. We don't want that either. But I believe that I'm a massive believer in a multi-layered visibility strategy to build an audience. And that means not just doing one thing. The days of us just showing up and doing a few reels are over. Like, that's not going to cut it anymore. It's too noisy out there. What you need is multidisciplinary. So every 3 months, the thing to do is to go, okay, what 3 activities am I going to do for 80% of my time to build this business, to grow the audience? Because 80% of having an online business is just audience growing. 20% is launching and delivering the thing. So if that's what it's about, you need to be thinking, what 3 things am I going to do? Now, you might say, well, I'm going to go on as many podcasts as possible for this 3 months. I'm going to pitch to train in other people's masterminds and memberships. I'm going to stand on stages. I'm going to do my own podcast. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to get PR. There are so many things you can do, but you've got to stick to them. And the thing that people don't do is stick to them. Consistency. They'll do something for a while and then go, oh, it's not doing anything. It takes 6 months to a year to build that audience and to get things going. People try things for 3 months, and because of all the coaches out there telling people that if they haven't made 6 figures in 6 weeks, they've failed, they give up too quickly. It takes a long time. Patience is the one big thing you need in this industry.
What were some of the biggest things that worked for you the most?
The biggest thing by far was, remember that 5 years ago, Facebook groups were different. I opened a Facebook group and I went live every day for 6 months. I made no money for the first 6 months, and then I made 220,000 by the end of the year. So it took 6 months of me going live every single day to build that audience with no money coming into me. So people don't do that. They just don't give it the time to do it. And if they would do something consistently for that long, you won't hesitate to make money. You will build that audience because I always say people buy from people, but actually they buy from people that they like. They can't get to know, like, and trust you if they see you once every 3 weeks popping up on a reel. And so I truly believe at the beginning, I'll get slated for this, you have to be obsessed with your business. In the first couple of years of your business, you have to be obsessed with it. Forget balance. You're not going to have any. Like, if we're honest about it, you're not. You need to put everything into it so that in the next few years, you will do a lot less, because passive income isn't passive in the first year. You're going to be building an audience. You're going to be learning how to launch. You're going to be writing content for a course or membership or workshop or whatever you're going to put out there. The time it becomes passive is the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time you put it out with the same marketing, with the same PowerPoint slides. It really becomes very, very easy, your life. But you won't get to that unless you build the audience continuously.
It's worth saying as well that obviously you need to be good at actually giving value in those live videos. And also, I think something I've heard you touch upon that I really strongly agree with is showing the vulnerability side and the integrity side. When, one thing I speak about a lot is there's so many people out there trying to paint the perfect life, and that's their sales tactic. And it's like, actually, I would say that's a red flag. If somebody's saying, look at me with my amazing wife and house and car and life, I'd say they're probably the scammer bullshit artist you want to stay away from.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
when you,
And
yeah,
being real, telling it like it is, has been my superpower. The reason that I made 15 million in 6 years isn't because of what I know. It's because I talk about when things go wrong and how hard things are sometimes in the industry. I've had chronic illnesses. I've documented them. I've not pretended anything is perfect, because it isn't, and everyone knows it isn't. And actually, I remember when I first came into the industry and I was looking for a mentor, I was looking for a coach, and all I could see was these size 6 blonde women in bikinis coming out of swimming pools or in front of the Eiffel Tower eating quinoa salad. I'm so like, I want a Mars bar. I can't relate. I'm not going to be able to work with these. And so I vowed that when I started, I'd be real and just be real and tell it how it, like, properly tell people when you've made mistakes and hold your hands up and tell people when things are tough. And I did. And that is what got me the loyal audience rather than just an audience.
So I think, again, just to highlight points there, you're talking about genuinely being really consistent, but also being real with it. And you speak about something called secondary messaging as well. Do you want to just explain what that is and the power in that?
Yeah, it's massive, this. So I think success leaves clues. And so I look at what other people are doing. And I did this very early on, like the people that are doing really well, what is their messaging about? And I noticed something. And then I noticed that I had done the same. The primary messaging is what you do. I talk about passive income, I talk about strategy all the time in business. That's primary messaging. If you're a brand designer, you talk about websites and brand design. That's your primary messaging. Your secondary messaging is what you actually give a shit about. What do you care about? If you could write anything on Facebook and not be cancelled, what's that?
Not a lot these days, I don't think.
No,
Everything's cancelable,
no,
but that's another
that's
story.
right. But yeah, so I realized really early on that because of that awful experience that I'd had in that first year with that coach, and because of the non-integrity that I was seeing everywhere. By the way, on that subject, all of those coaches that also bullied me with that main person came back to me later, 3 or 4 years later, and apologized. Wow. So yeah, people realized that they'd done wrong, and it made me realize that integrity was really lacking. People were doing whatever they could to get ahead. And so I started talking about that. I started talking about the pyramid schemes, the master reseller rights, the invisible offers, all the crap out there that really should not be out there. And the fact there's no regulation in this industry at all. And as soon as I did, people knew what I was about. And did it make everyone like me? No. You can imagine the hate I got, but I didn't care by this point. I just wanted to change this industry like I had been told I could. If I got to multi-7 figures, change it from the inside. So I started doing that and showing that you could do these £2-3 million launches without any urgency, without any trauma tactics or FOMO or all of this crap that we've been sold we have to do. And it was working. So I was able to show other people a different way. And so my secondary messaging became about a new way of doing things in this industry that allows you to be able to sleep at night, and a lot of anti-bullying messaging in there as well. And that's why people work with me. They don't work with me because of what I know. Lots of people know what I know.
I think that's a really important thing for anyone that has a business to reflect on that. It's not just what you offer. It's kind of like your story with it, isn't it? And it's your values and your personality and all these bits. They add and contribute towards why people decide to work with you or not effectively. Yeah. Now, most of you that listen to this show every week are also already members of our incredible membership. So you don't need me to tell you how amazing that it is. If you're not a member, I'm not going to list everything that you get because it's completely free to join anyway. So all I would say is click the link in our show notes, head on over, start your membership, and you will find out for yourself. But simply put, the membership is this. It is there to give you the guidance, the support, the accountability, the community, and the information that is there if you actually want to start to become a person who achieves what it is you say you want to achieve. If you want to become that high performance action taker, that person that is a go-getter, that has got the support to start making change in every single area of your life, that's what the membership does. That is what we are there to do. And I can tell you now that if you take action, if you sign up, and if you commit to consistently engaging with the membership, I can almost 100% guarantee you that it will positively impact every single area of your life. But I can't do that for you. You are the missing link. You need to click that link. You need to sign up. You need to join us, and you need to get involved. If you do, the results will come. The question is, will you do it? I don't know, but I really hope so. And if you do, I'll be excited to welcome you into the community. Guys, I've got a question to ask. If you are listening to this podcast right now and you haven't yet purchased a ticket for our live in-person event, what on earth are you doing? You need to stop listening. You need to go purchase your ticket, and you need to make your way to Bradford on Saturday, the 6th of January, to get yourself in the room. No excuses. I don't care if it's your day of your wedding. Cancel your wedding. You can postpone it. It's not as important as this. If you were at the first event that we did in Manchester, you will know just how powerful it is to get into a room full of people who are like-minded, to engage in the great content, to meet the guest speakers, and to bloody well meet me. Like, what more do you need? All jokes aside, I seriously think out of everything I've ever done, putting on these events is the thing I enjoy the most. I think it is the most powerful and impactful, and it has the potential to genuinely change your life. It has the potential to help you connect with some great people that could become lifelong friends. There's just so many benefits. What I've done is I've put the link to get tickets in the show notes of this episode. So just head over there if you want to get a ticket. There's going to be some great speakers. We're also going to be doing some group breath work. We're going to be doing some group coaching where I'll be there coaching you guys on the day. We'll be talking about some stuff that's genuinely going to get you thinking about what you want out of your life and what you need to be doing to take the steps to make those changes. You're also going to be invited to do some cold water therapy. It's not compulsory. There's just going to be the opportunity if you want to do it. I certainly will be doing it. So if you want to get in an ice bath with me, that will be available to you. We're also going to be having some really healthy, nutritious foods available to eat on the day. It's just going to be such a positive day. The way that I'm sort of marketing it is like a little mini retreat in Bradford. Who knew? Who knew you could do that in winter in Bradford? It's happening, like I say, on the Saturday the 6th. It's going to be in the day, and I would love to see you there. Click the link to get your ticket. Drop me a message. You can either email me at successschoolgroup@gmail.com or DM me on the various social media handles if you've any questions. But do get your tickets fast, because I'm not just saying this is a marketing thing. I am very, very pleased to see they are selling very, very quickly. So don't procrastinate. Take action, and I'll see you there. On that as well, something I hear people talk about all the time that's a really important subject is niching down. Like, if you want to go big and if you want to, really be successful in business, you need to know your niche. The next thing that people struggle with is the advice will be, find the thing that you enjoy the most and you're most passionate about, whatever. And people go, well, there's lots of things within this that I enjoy and I'm passionate about and I'm good at and I can offer lots. If someone's of that mindset, what's the process you take them on to find their niche?
Here's the secret. The secret is you advertise a niche, but you do everything you want to do. So my niche is passive income. People ask me to stand on stages to talk about passive income. I'm doing all the stuff behind the scenes. I'm teaching people mindset, confidence, teaching people how to do email marketing, like how to have huge businesses, how to build teams. I'm not just doing passive income, but you need one thing to be known for. And I wrote a book in January. It became a Sunday Times bestseller called Make Money Online. The reason it became a Sunday Times bestseller is the name, Make Money Online. Like, it was one thing. If I'd have called that all the marketing things that you can do to make money, it wouldn't have got there. But it doesn't mean that in that book I just talk about making money online. It's exactly the same. You can do all the things you want to do. When I was a wedding planner, I niched down to warehouse weddings, urban warehouse weddings. If somebody was going to pay me a shit ton of money to do something with doves abroad somewhere in a piazza, I was not going to turn it down.
Did you do that? I want to know. Did you do that?
that.
Of course you did.
But I wouldn't have put it on my social media.
So that's the thing then. So almost take away that fear, because I guess that's the process people go through is, oh my God, I'm going to become known for just that one thing. And there's all these other things I love. You're going to market yourself in the way that you think, I assume, is going to bring in the most eyes and be most sellable. But then what you deliver encompasses all the things you love and can give, right?
I knew that passive income isn't passive. I could have called that anything. Leveraged income, not trading time for money. The words passive income sells. I understand that. But then as soon as I can talk about passive income, I tell people it doesn't exist. Like I've just done that with you guys. And yet I'm on here to talk about passive income. So, you can do it.
We'll get her on again. She's full of shit. We'll get a proper passive income person. What about, talk to me about launching a new product or a course. Is there any kind of key do's and don'ts that you would offer to give a successful launch?
Yeah, I love launching. It's my favorite thing to do. Like the last 5 launches that I did over the past 5 years all made me between 2 and 3 million. Once it made me 1 million in an hour. And there is no, I mean, you can imagine what that kind of money is like for someone like me. It was like my mind was completely blown. The things that I've learned about launching are many over the years, but the biggest thing is to not try and launch as you go along. Like we prep launches 6 months in advance. We have every single bit that you need. And also people go, oh, I'm just going to do a lazy launch. I'm going to do a soft launch. Then don't launch. Just don't do it. Either do it properly or don't do it at all. Because those launches that really work, you put everything into it. You're not doing an email launch or a social media launch. You're doing all the things launch in one go for 1 week. You can do it. Anyone can. Yeah, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of time, but it's so worth it. So yeah, make sure you do everything in advance. Use everything that's available to you. Try and do things the way that I do things in integrity during a launch is to do a challenge launch. I really like challenge launches because as well as them getting they can see your teaching style over a small amount per day. It means that people that can't afford to work with you still go away and learn something. I have a challenge that I run beginning of the year, February and March every year, called Race to Recurring Revenue for my main program. We've had people, lots and lots of people, not be able to afford our courses, take what they've learned in that challenge and start making 10K months. And then they come back and work with me. So it's a win-win. So try and give too much away. Don't listen to anyone that says, give them the what and the why, but not the how. Just give them the how. They're still going to work with you.
Completely agree. I love it. Honestly, Lisa, you won't know, but I'm sure there's a lot of people grinning. There's so much that I just feel we're aligned with in like how, and it's just like, again, my background, I've worked with a coach who was one of those dickhead coaches that it's all about fear tactics and bully kind of ways. And I learned so much about that experience, about what not to do and how I don't want to be. And then it feels like Mark just put there the 3-day accelerator. I've just finished doing a 3-day challenge. Again, some amazing results for people that then didn't go on to pay and didn't go on to work with us, but still super fulfilling, super rewarding, and everybody wins. So it's just so nice that there is people out there like yourself doing things the right way. And I just believe, that's the shift that needs to happen across the whole industry, right? And it's happening. And
it's massively happening. I launch a new business on Wednesday.
Whoop, whoop. Tell us all about that.
All because of what you just said. It's happening. There needs to be a ripple effect of this happening. So you can moan about something, can't you, in this online world? And you see people moan about things a lot. And I was moaning about the same thing all the time, which is like, people are just bringing out courses and they're rubbish. They're really good at selling things and they're really crap on delivering. It's not fair. People are putting their life savings into things and they're not getting anything back for it. And people coming into this industry and going, well, I don't know what else to be, so I'll be a coach. And what are you going to coach? Well, I'm going to teach people 10K packages. Of what though? Well, I don't know, just a 10K package, to sell a 10K package, who can then teach someone else to sell. It's just like a giant pyramid scheme. Yeah. I was like, there has to be a way for people who want to work in this online industry, multi-billion online industry. Of course, people want to work in it. It's a great place to work. That is that they can know they're getting quality. And so I started to see people accrediting people, giving them certificates, literally printing out certificates in their bedroom for a course that they'd done. And people going, oh, it's an accredited course. And I'm like, from who? The person that sold it to you. That's not an accredited course. So I decided to start a new business, and it launches on Wednesday, and it is called That Strategy Co. And in it, there is the Academy for online businesses, and there are 8 CPD accreditations, so properly CBC, it's properly regulated body accredited,
Yeah.
to do actual careers online, whether you want to be a social media manager, an AI innovator, a Facebook ads manager, a strategist like me, but they're going to be quality, and in there's ethics. There's integrity in every single one of them. We're going to teach that with it, so that the new wave of people going out there in this online industry know that from the start and don't have to do it badly until they see someone like you doing it well.
Where do we go for this? Give us the information, because we need to get people over there, Lisa.
Nowhere yet. But next Wednesday.
Yeah, pretend it's the future when this goes out.
It'll be over on That Strategy Co. on Instagram. Actually, that might be there already, That Strategy Co. Yeah, on the website. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to bringing something that I've been wanting to bring out for a couple of years, and actually now being able to do it.
Okay, I'm just going to move on now to some of the more quick-fire general life questions that I ask all the guests. So first question is, what is some of the best advice you've ever received, and why?
There's been loads. Live life as if you're already cancelled. Because I used to be so scared to write anything, because people would go, oh, I don't agree with your opinion. And, I'd get constantly bullied or cancelled constantly. So now I just have decided that if I just live life as already being cancelled, it's quite freeing. You can say whatever you like. You're always going to have somebody that doesn't like you at some point. So don't try and be liked. Just say the things you actually really care about.
On the other side, what is the worst advice you've received in your life, and why?
There's been a lot of that as well. I think the whole trauma marketing, use NLP to sell kind of stuff, I can't even go there, or put out an invisible offer. But actually, I believe that you should wake up at 5 a.m., even if you have 4-year-old twins, so that you can do a morning routine, is probably up there with crappiest advice I've ever.
It's got to be a 3-hour minimum morning routine, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And like oh God, I tried it for a while. I had like the kids doing like yoga with me in front of a TV. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to meditate.
Oh, I love it. Okay, next one. What is one of the biggest mistakes you've made, and what did that teach you?
Made a lot of mistakes. In the first 3 months of my business, I lost £27,000 to a Facebook ads manager. It taught me a lot.
Good. That's not just me as well.
No, everyone does it, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I was more around after I'd paid for the ads and the manager, more close at 15 grand. So maybe I was just playing at it. Clearly.
But it was good, because it taught me about due diligence, and it also made me learn how to grow an audience without Facebook ads, because I was too scared of them. So that saved me a lot of money. But yeah, due diligence was a big one. And I still fall down on this. I still am not very good at this. I went into a mastermind last year that cost me £75,000 because of hype. The thing I tell no one to do, and I did it because of hype, and it was the worst money I've ever spent on anything. But one day I'll learn from these mistakes. One day.
I think as well, if at the core of you will do everything with integrity, you expect everybody else to do it. And that's where you can fall into that trap of easily buying into shit, because people are happy to sell shit just for the money, right? But
that amazes me. Yeah. I'm like, I disappeared after a month from this mastermind. No one checked on me. 75 grand. I was like, how are you sleeping at night? Wow. You don't even know where I am or why I'm not participating. But it always brings it back down to, we still learn something from everything. Like, I'm really big on my masterminders having contact with me on a daily basis. And I learned that from that. So
this podcast, a lot of the ethos is around giving people the skills to be successful in life. And kind of my idea on it is that traditional education didn't always best equip us with that. So based on the life lessons and the truths you've learned away from maybe traditional education, that you feel if people follow these three truths, these three lessons of life, would enable them to live a successful, happy, healthy, fulfilling life? What would you say are the most important three truths, three lessons you would share with the world?
There's so many. The first is see the difference between rich and wealthy. Rich, you're usually 3 months away from being poor, showing off the stuff. Wealthy is very different to that. It's about making money from your money, and it's much more silent. You can have both, but make sure you have wealthy in that. The second is, I think it's around not really caring about what other people think. Like if people aren't paying your bills, they have no opinion in what you're doing. It took me a long time to learn that. I don't have to people please all the time, but I think that's held me in good stead. And the third is future focus with immediate action. So what most people do in life is they look at what they need now in the next 2 months, 3 months. How are they going to do the next launch? What is going to be the next amount of money? Future focus. Get your money coming in now, but really be working towards something you're bringing out in 2 or 3 years' time that's much bigger and that changes an industry or the world or something that's not just in your stratosphere, because then you leave a legacy. I think those three.
Absolutely. Lisa, this has been fantastic. And obviously I want to be respectful of your time. And I know you've agreed to do a little Q&A with our members as well. So we'll finish the main podcast there. But just before we do finish, if anybody wants to follow you personally online and get sort of, you know, consume most of your content, where's the best places they can find you?
The easiest place at the moment is on @Lisa Johnson Strategist on Instagram. I do all my own writing and replying to people. So I've got a little team now, but it's the one thing I like to do myself. So if you write to me on Instagram, it will be me. Do not follow my Instagram if you're expecting anything professional. I'm very real and raw. If I'm drunk on there, you're going to see me drunk. Like, don't expect anything less.
So, I remember you sharing that at EMC, saying how it was a great example, actually. The two different responses that Lisa got was, you said how you'd spoken drunk on your stories. One person had responded saying, absolutely love that you're so down to earth, you're so like me, and then went on to pay a lot of money to work with you. And at the same time, you got a DM saying it was so unprofessional. I cannot condone what you're doing. I'm unfollowing you. And it's just a great example, isn't it, of how and just be authentic.
And you have to be all right to repel people, you know, like if you want to really have a lot of people go towards you, you have to know that you're also going to repel a lot of people. If you're only talking about things that please everyone, you're not attracting or repelling, and that's pointless.
Yeah. Lisa, final question before we go to the Q&A. What is your personal definition of success?
My personal definition of success is a life of happiness, which it turns out money didn't buy me. Which it took me getting to 15 million to work out, even though everybody told me that before I'd even made the first £2,000 in my business, that it wouldn't make me happy. And I was like, yeah, it will though, because you've got money. That's the reason you're saying that. But actually it didn't. And I had to find a way to find fulfillment that was nothing to do with money before I became happy.
Lisa, thank you so much.
No worries.
Okay, so I know I said I wasn't going to bang on about everything that's inside the membership, and that's true. I didn't lie to you. I'm not going to tell you everything because it's free to join. Go over there, find out for yourself. But one thing I do want to make sure you're aware of is pretty much almost every guest that you listen to on this podcast also agrees to do a further around about 30 minutes worth of the chat that is only available to the members only. Because what we do is we invite our members to listen to a lot of these podcasts being recorded live. And then once we've finished, they stay on the live on Zoom where they can actually ask questions to the guest speaker and get more personalized, bespoke answers. Now, if you want to be on the upcoming episodes, if you want to meet these guests and put your question to them, and if you also want to right now start to listen to all the past few years worth of these conversations, head on over to the link in the show notes, start your free trial today, and just to let you know as well, it's less than £5 a week after your free trial ends. So it's not going to cost you a lot of money, even if you want to stay long term. Click that link, start your trial, Go listen to the content, get your invite to come and join us on all future podcast recordings, and I look forward to seeing you in our amazing, incredible community of people in the membership area. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode today, and I'll see you next time.